Let me ask you something, and don't answer out loud. Just be honest with yourself. If you stopped using your credit cards today, how long could you survive before life started falling apart? A week? A month? Or would one unexpected bill push you right back into debt? Because if you're watching this, chances are you didn't plan to be here. You didn't wake up one day and decide, I want to owe money forever. Yet somehow, every month feels the same. The balances barely move. The interest keeps growing. And no matter how hard you try, escape feels impossible. This is the debt trap nobody escapes, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why. Stay with me, the last truth might completely change how you see money. For most people, debt doesn't start with luxury. It starts with life. A car repair you couldn't delay. Groceries when prices jumped again. A medical bill you didn't expect. Rent that rose faster than your paycheck. You swipe the card, not because you want to, but because you have to. At first, it feels manageable. You tell yourself it's temporary. You'll pay it off next month. But next month comes, and so does another bill. And slowly, quietly, debt becomes normal. Credit cards were sold as convenience. Rewards. Points. Cashback. But for millions of people today, they're not a convenience, they're a lifeline. Widely reported consumer data over the past few years shows credit card balances reaching record highs while interest rates climb to levels many households have never faced before. That means the cost of borrowing is higher than ever. A balance doesn't just sit there. It grows. And the longer you carry it, the more the past eats your future. Your statement tells you a comforting lie. Minimum payment due. It looks small. It feels safe. It feels responsible. But what it doesn't show you clearly is the time. Years. Decades. Thousands in interest. Minimum payments aren't designed to free you. They're designed to keep you manageable. You stay just above water, never drowning, never escaping. In a moment, I'm going to explain why paying your debt faithfully can actually keep you trapped. This is the part no one tells you. You do everything right. You pay on time. You avoid late fees. You try to be responsible. And still, the balance barely moves. That's because interest is working against you every single day. When rates rise, as they've been reported to do in recent years, the math gets uglier. You're not failing. You're fighting compounding. And compounding doesn't care how hard you work. Debt doesn't just drain your bank account. It drains your mind. You think about money constantly. You avoid checking balances. You feel guilt for things you need, not want. It follows you to work. It shows up in your sleep. It strains relationships. Debt creates shame, and shame keeps people silent. Have you noticed this pattern? You make progress. You feel hopeful. Then life happens. Car trouble. Medical bill. Reduced hours. Without savings, debt becomes the backup plan. And every emergency resets the clock. This isn't bad luck. It's structural. When there's no buffer, every inconvenience becomes expensive. If you've ever felt like debt is something you'll always have, stay with me. Because the next section explains why this trap feels permanent, and how it was built that way. Debt isn't accidental. Banks profit from interest. Lenders profit from duration. The longer you stay, the more they earn. This doesn't mean you're powerless. But it does mean the system isn't neutral. You weren't taught how this works. You were taught how to participate. In part 2, I'm going to show you why budgeting harder often fails, how shame keeps people stuck, why making more money doesn't automatically fix debt, and the psychological reason escape feels impossible. Don't leave. Because once you see the trap clearly, you can finally start looking for the exit. By now, you probably recognize yourself in this story. You didn't overspend recklessly. You didn't chase luxury. You didn't ignore responsibility. And yet, you're still stuck. So the question becomes, why does debt feel permanent, even when you're doing everything right? The answer isn't just financial. It's psychological. You've heard it 1,000 times, just budget better. But here's the truth no spreadsheet can fix. Budgets only work when there's margin. When income barely covers survival, budgeting turns into a painful exercise of deciding what to delay, not what to improve. Rent, food, transportation, insurance. These aren't optional categories. So when people tell you budgeting will set you free, but your reality doesn't change, it creates frustration, and eventually, self-blame. You don't need more discipline. You need breathing room. Debt thrives on silence. People don't talk about it. They hide it. They feel embarrassed, even when the debt came from survival. Shame convinces you, you're the only one struggling, everyone else figured it out. Asking for help means failure, but silence is profitable. Because people who feel ashamed don't negotiate. They don't research. They don't challenge the system. They just keep paying. In a moment, I'll explain why debt feels heavier today than it did a decade ago, even if the numbers look similar. This part matters more than you think. Debt today isn't the same debt your parents had. Interest rates have risen. Costs of living have increased. Wages haven't kept pace. What used to be manageable has become suffocating. A balance that once felt temporary now feels endless, not because you changed, but because the environment did. The math turned hostile. And most people never adjusted their strategy because no one told them the rules changed. Here's one of the cruelest parts of the system. You're rewarded for staying in debt. Use credit responsibly. Carry balances. Pay on time. Your score goes up, not when you're free, but when you're reliable. So people stay trapped trying to protect a number that exists to measure how well they can borrow, not how well they can live. Freedom isn't optimized by a score. It's often delayed by it. This surprises a lot of people. Many who escape debt don't do it because they earn dramatically more. And many who earn more still feel trapped. Why? Because when stress is constant, spending becomes emotional. Relief purchases creep in. Obligations scale up. Without structure, more income just means more pressure. Debt isn't just a money problem. It's a behavior and environment problem. If you've ever thought, I'll never be debt-free anyway, stay with me. Because the next section explains why hopelessness is the most expensive cost of debt. Debt shrinks your time horizon. You stop planning years ahead. You stop dreaming. You stop imagining options. You think in weeks. In pay cycles. In minimum payments. That mental shift is dangerous, not because you're weak, but because survival mode crowds out creativity. And without imagination, escape feels impossible. Even people who pay off debt often carry the trauma. They still feel behind. They still feel anxious. They still fear slipping back. Because debt isn't just numbers, it rewires how you relate to money. True escape requires more than zero balances. It requires rewriting your relationship with risk, security, and self-worth. In part 3, we're going to talk about the real exit strategy most advice ignores, why emergency funds come before freedom. How to weaken debt's control without extreme deprivation, and the mindset shift that breaks the cycle permanently. This is where the story changes, from understanding the trap, to finding the door. Don't go anywhere. At this point, you might be thinking something dangerous. Okay, I get it. The system is rigged. Debt is hard. But what's the point? Isn't this just how life is now? That thought, right there, is the trap tightening. Because the moment you believe debt is permanent, you stop looking for exits. And that's exactly what this part is about. The biggest lie people are told is that escaping debt requires extreme sacrifice. No joy. No comfort. No room to live. So people don't even try. They assume freedom is only for people who make six figures, never make mistakes, have help or luck. But most people who escape debt don't do it dramatically. They do it quietly, slowly, strategically, without burning themselves out. Most debt advice focuses on speed. Pay it off as fast as possible, throw every dollar at it, sacrifice everything. That sounds powerful, but it fails most people. Why? Because speed ignores reality. Life doesn't pause. Emergencies don't wait. Stress doesn't disappear. When your plan requires perfection, one bad month destroys it. Sustainable progress beats aggressive burnout every time. Here's the part that surprises people. You don't escape debt by attacking it first. You escape debt by reducing your dependence on it. That means creating small buffers, lowering panic, building breathing room. Stability weakens debt's grip. And once debt stops being necessary, it stops being powerful. In a moment, I'm going to explain why having even a tiny emergency fund changes everything, even if you still have debt. This is where most advice gets it wrong. An emergency fund isn't about money. It's about control. Without it, every surprise becomes debt. With it, surprises become inconveniences. Even a small buffer stops credit card swipes, prevents progress from resetting, restores decision-making power. People who skip this step stay trapped longer, not because they're lazy, but because the system punishes fragility. Debt doesn't just cost interest. It costs confidence. When money controls your choices, fear becomes the default. But when you regain even a little control, something shifts. You stop reacting. You start choosing. That mental shift is often the real beginning of freedom. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Willpower doesn't escape debt. Systems do. When everything depends on motivation, progress collapses the moment you're tired, stressed, or overwhelmed. That's not a personal flaw. That's human nature. The goal isn't to be stronger. The goal is to make good decisions automatic. If you've ever felt like debt controls your future, stay with me. Credit cards aren't evil, but they're dangerous when they become survival tools. The shift isn't cutting them up. The shift is downgrading their role. When credit moves from necessity to backup, its power fades. And for many people, that single change is the turning point. Because the next section explains how to weaken debt without destroying your life. Credit cards aren't evil, but they're dangerous when they become survival tools. The shift isn't cutting them up. The shift is downgrading their role. When credit moves from necessity to backup, its power fades. And for many people, that single change is the turning point. People underestimate momentum. One small win builds confidence, reduces fear, creates belief, and belief is fuel. Not belief in hustle, but belief that effort actually leads somewhere. That's how people keep going. In the final part, we're going to talk about why debt leaves emotional scars even after it's gone, how to forgive yourself for surviving the mindset that keeps people free long after balances hit zero, and the truth about what financial freedom really looks like. This isn't about money anymore. It's about reclaiming your future. Don't go anywhere. Before we end this, I want you to pause for a second. Think about how long debt has been part of your life. Years? A decade? Most of your adult life? Now here's the question most people never ask. What if the hardest part of escaping debt isn't the money, but what debt did to you along the way? Debt leaves marks that don't show up on statements. It teaches you to expect stress. It trains you to live cautiously. It makes you fear small risks, even good ones. You stop dreaming big. You stop planning long term. You settle for getting by instead of building forward. Even when balances drop, the fear often stays. That's why so many people say, I'm debt-free, but I still don't feel free. Debt quietly attacks identity. You start labeling yourself, I'm bad with money, I always mess things up, I'll never catch up, but debt doesn't define your intelligence. It doesn't define your discipline. It doesn't define your worth. It reflects pressure, not character. And separating those two is critical, because you can't heal what you think is who you are. This might be the most important part of the entire video. You have to forgive the version of yourself that went into debt. That version was underpaid, unprepared, dealing with rising costs, trying to survive. You didn't swipe because you were careless. You swiped because life demanded more than you had. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's how you stop carrying the weight forward. Because in a moment, I'm going to explain why true freedom looks nothing like what social media shows you. And this might completely change your goals. Financial freedom isn't flashy. It's not luxury cars or viral success. It's not constant upgrades or flexing online. Real freedom is quiet. It's not panicking when something breaks, saying no without guilt, sleeping without checking your balance, making decisions without fear. Freedom is margin. Freedom is calm. Freedom is control. Most people don't stay trapped because they can't change. They stay trapped because they stop believing change is possible. Debt convinces you that struggle is permanent. That relief is temporary. That freedom is for other people. But the moment you believe escape is possible, even slowly, the trap weakens. Hope is dangerous to systems built on permanence. Real escape isn't dramatic. It's built through patience instead of panic, systems instead of willpower, stability instead of speed. It's choosing progress you can sustain over intensity you can't. Most people who win don't win fast. They win consistently. The debt trap feels inescapable because it's designed to feel that way. But traps only work when you don't understand them. Once you see the system, once you understand the psychology, once you stop blaming yourself, you stop fighting blindly. You start moving deliberately. And that's how people get out. If you're still in debt, you're not behind. You're aware. You're learning. You're still in the game. Debt doesn't get the final say. Your future does. And you don't have to escape overnight. You just have to move in the right direction, long enough. If this video made you feel understood, hit the like button. It helps this message reach others who need it. Leave a comment below. Right finger what part of debt has been hardest for you emotionally. Share this video with someone who feels stuck but doesn't talk about it. And subscribe to this channel, because here, we talk about money honestly, without shame, and without fake promises. You're not broken. You're not alone. And this is not the end of your story.